General Winter was once Russia's greatest weapon. It crushed Napoleon, broke Hitler, and protected Moscow when armies failed. But in the winter of 2025, General Winter has turned on the Kremlin. This time, it is not foreign invaders freezing outside Russia's borders. It is Russian citizens freezing inside their own homes. While missiles rain down on Ukraine, a silent catastrophe is unfolding across Siberia and the Russian interior, one with no enemy soldiers, no air raids, and no battlefield glory. Just exploding boilers, frozen pipes, blacked out cities, and families abandoned in -30-degree darkness. From Angarsk to Kazan, from the Trans-Siberian Highway to Vladivostok, Russia is experiencing the most severe infrastructure collapse of the modern era. And it is happening at the exact moment Vladimir Putin claims Russia is stronger than ever. The contradiction is deadly. Look at the map. Eastern Siberia, Irkutsk region, Angarsk, an industrial city once considered the backbone of Russia's energy economy. Today, it looks less like a city and more like a survival zone. On December 7th, disaster struck at thermal power plant number 9, the main heating and electricity source for the city. A critical steam boiler failed after years of deferred maintenance and neglect. In seconds, 167,000 people lost heat and power. Outside, daytime temperatures hovered around -20°C. At night, they plunged to -30°C. Mayor Sergei Petrov declared a state of emergency, but declarations do not warm frozen apartments. Hospitals, schools, kindergartens, and residential buildings turned into iceboxes. Pipes burst. Radiators went cold. Elevators stopped. Darkness swallowed entire districts. Social media filled with rage and despair. One resident wrote, "Putin says we're the world's 4th largest economy. Then why are we freezing like this?" Another mother asked a question the Kremlin has no answer to. Adults can endure, but what about babies? Officials told residents not to use electric heaters. The grid could collapse completely. So people were given an impossible choice: freeze slowly or risk total blackout. And this is not an isolated disaster. It is the result of a long-term pattern. Regions like Irkutsk, Buryatia, Tuva, and Yakutia sit far from Moscow, economically weak, politically invisible, and historically expendable. When mobilization orders came, these regions paid the price. Their sons were sent to Ukraine in disproportionate numbers. In 2022 alone, at least 9,000 men from Siberia were mobilized. From Irkutsk and Buryatia, more than 1,100 confirmed dead. In some districts, 1 in 7 men never returned. These were not volunteers. They were coerced by decrees, pressure, poverty, and lack of alternatives. While elites in Moscow shielded their children with university placements and government posts, Siberia supplied bodies for the war. Now, those same regions are told to endure freezing temperatures. Without heat, kindergartens remain open, not because it's safe, but because parents must keep working to feed the war economy. Children sit in classrooms wearing winter coats, gloves, hats, trying to write with frozen fingers. Teachers describe rooms colder than Antarctica. This is Russia's future, shivering in silence. Authorities set up temporary shelters for just 6,000 people, but nearly 170,000 are freezing. The math doesn't work. It never does. And the cold doesn't stop at apartment walls. It traps people on the roads. On the Trans-Siberian Highway, Russia's main east-west artery, snow and administrative failure created a nightmare. A traffic jam stretched over 100 kilometers. Families with children were trapped in cars for 3 days in -30 temperatures, running out of fuel and food as blizzards raged outside. Officials blamed truck drivers. The state is never at fault. Even wealthy regions are cracking. In Kazan, the capital of Tatarstan, Mayor Ilsur Mechin admitted publicly, "We can host international summits."
The rare strike is reported to have taken place during Russia's large-scale night attack on December 12-13, according to the outlet Militani. Ukrainian monitoring channels confirmed that Kinjal missiles were among the weapons used in the assault on Odessa during that overnight barrage. The channel monitor reported that 4 Kinjal missiles were launched from MiG-31 aircraft, Russia's dedicated long-range interceptor platform. 2 of those Kinjal missiles were directed specifically at targets in and around Odessa, Militani noted, highlighting the city's growing vulnerability. The Kinjal's use remains limited.
But the first snowfall exposes us. The city lacks over 100 snow removal specialists. In nearby Ufa, more than 1,100 municipal positions are vacant. Where did the workers go? The drivers, engineers, plumbers, electricians, Ukraine, or graves? Putin's mobilization drained Russia's municipalities, factories, and public services. There are no hands left to shovel snow, no engineers to repair boilers, no technicians to stabilize grids. Even Yakutsk, the coldest city on Earth, was caught unprepared by early snow. Residents joke bitterly that winter arrives unexpectedly every year. In a place where standing outside for 20 minutes can be fatal, a delayed bus becomes a death sentence. In Vladivostok, with temperatures barely below freezing, 6,000 people still lost heating. Russia is the world's energy superpower, yet cannot heat its own citizens. Why? Because the infrastructure is rotten. Most of Russia's heating and power systems were built in the 1960s and 70s. Their service life expired decades ago. Instead of rebuilding, the Kremlin patched and postponed. Trillions earned from oil and gas were poured into Moscow facelifts, oligarch yachts, palaces, and, above all, war. Today, nearly 40% of Russia's federal budget goes to defense and security. The cost of a single Kinzhal missile could have replaced the failed boiler in Angarsk. The money burned in Ukraine could have modernized snow fleets across the country, but the Kremlin chose conquest over citizens. Now General Winter is collecting the bill. Sanctions make repairs harder, spare parts no longer arrive. Western technology is gone. Engineers have fled.
The night of December 12-13, Russia launched a massive strike on critical and civilian sites across the wider Odessa region, targeting both land and sea assets. At least 4 people were injured as fires tore through energy facilities and a civilian vessel in port, adding to the mounting toll on the city. Deputy Prime Minister Alexei Kuleba said that Odessa's port was hit yet again, with grain silos set ablaze in strikes that threaten export routes. A Turkish-owned vessel, the ferry Cenk T, also caught fire after
or been mobilized. Even when equipment exists, there is no one left to install it. Russia is freezing inside a spiral of its own making. A mother from Angarsk told independent journalists, "Last year we had no heating for 3 days at -50. What are we supposed to do with children?" She even wrote a letter to Putin. There was no response. And while Russians freeze, Putin presses on. He declares Russia holds the strategic initiative and orders attacks to continue. His logic is simple. If Russia suffers, Ukraine must suffer more. But here is the twist. Ukraine adapted. Russia now targets Ukrainian substations instead of reactors, a calculated attempt to isolate nuclear plants from cities without triggering global catastrophe. They bomb transmission cables, gas storage facilities, infrastructure Moscow itself once designed. Soviet blueprints are now weapons. Yet Ukrainians decentralized. Cafes, clinics, banks, apartment blocks, all running generators. Elevators stocked with emergency kits, a nation that learned resilience under fire. Meanwhile, Ukraine strikes back, not with cold, but with fire. Since 2025, Ukrainian strikes have damaged or disabled nearly 40% of Russia's refining capacity. 13 major refineries hit. Oil exports down 26%. Gas exports at a 50-year low. Sanctions tighten. Revenue shrinks. Europe prepares a full energy ban. Russia tried to freeze Ukraine. Instead, it burned its own future. Security forces evacuate frozen cities. Doctors work without heat. Oil workers go unpaid. Refineries burn. And the Kremlin's illusion of control collapses under ice and darkness. This is not resistance anymore. This is system failure. Vladimir Putin wanted to rebuild an empire. Instead, he is overseeing the liquidation of a country. The frozen apartments of Angarsk, the silent highways, and the burning refineries all say the same thing. The center cannot hold.